Spider-Man No Way Home is still the best Spider-Man movie. The comic book fandom is pretty funny. When a new comic book movie comes out, it gets a lot of praise. It makes it into people's top 10 comic book movies of all time. People love the film. But after the initial hype goes down and after we've let the film sink in with us, a new comic book movie comes out and then all of a sudden people feel the need to trash the previous film that they used to call one of the best comic book movies of all time. They feel the need to say that it's overrated. They just hate the film for whatever reason all of a sudden. And Spider-Man No Way Home is no exception to this trend. It has now officially fallen victim to this very thing. But I want to talk to you guys today about why I feel that Spider-Man No Way Home is still the best Spider-Man movie as what I originally thought when I first saw the movie all the way back in December 2021. Literally just hours ago from the time of this recording, I finished watching Spider-Man No Way Home for the 7th time now since it released last December, and 6 of those 7 times I watched it in the cinema. Spider-Man is my all-time favorite character, not just in Marvel and comics, but in all of fiction. So you can imagine how in awe I was of this film when I saw it on the opening day. It had literally everything you could ask for in a Spider-Man movie. It had good characters, it had consequences, it had good action, good humor, good story, it had heart, it had emotion and tension, and most of all, it had the nostalgia factor going for it too. Even with all the leaks prior to the film that the likes of Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield and Charlie Cox, for example, were all appearing in the film, it did not take anything away from the film at all seeing them on screen in the actual movie. Believe it or not, but having Charlie Cox's Matt Murdock aka Daredevil interact with the wider MCU has always been at the top of my MCU wish list more than anything else. Seeing Matt Murdock in the wider MCU finally happen in a Spider-Man movie nonetheless was just a literal dream come true. The film is a love letter to all Spider-Man fans. It's a culmination of everything Spider-Man over the past 3 generations, so this film wouldn't have worked as well as it did without the other 7 live-action Spider-Man movies that came before it. And an argument can be made that Spider-Man 2 is still the best Spider-Man movie, not including Into the Spider-Verse. And to those people who think this, I won't argue with you because I can see and understand why you say it is. But to me personally, I believe that title now belongs to Spider-Man No Way Home, with Spider-Man 2 being a close second. In the comics, Peter Parker is a screw-up. His life is in constant shambles and can never seem to catch a break. He always makes choices that hurt those around him. His loved ones are usually in danger in the result of something that he did. And the guy is pretty much down on his luck all of the time. More often than not, Peter Parker is to blame for his own troubles. He's always letting down those close to him, mainly due to trying to balance living a normal life as Peter Parker whilst also doing the superhero gig as Spider-Man. But no matter how much he gets knocked down, no matter how many setbacks he endures, no matter how many people hate Spider-Man, whether that's villains, J. Jonah Jameson or the general public, he always continues to show bravery and spirit. He soldiers on and carries on being the good, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Spider-Man 2 depicted this side to Peter Parker so well to the point where I thought that no other Spider-Man movie can depict this as well as this film did. I believe Spider-Man No Way Home proved me wrong. In Spider-Man No Way Home, Peter, like in Spider-Man 2, is down on his luck. The life as Spider-Man has affected those close to him most, with MJ and Ned not being able to get into college, Aunt May facing potential charges of child endangerment, etc. It was his choice to go to Doctor Strange, which then set in motion the main story and plot of the movie after he screwed up Strange's spell. Chose to ignore Strange and help the villains to get cured, and this led to what I feel is one of the main reasons as to why No Way Home beats out Spider-Man 2 as the best Spidey movie, and that's because of consequences. Sure, in Spider-Man 2, Peter was struggling all throughout the movie, but by the end of the movie, he defeated the villain and got the girl of his dreams. Only real consequence was that Harry now knew who he was, but that's not because of anything Peter did. Peter was more of a passive character in this film. Things happened to him rather than he himself making things happen. But in Spider-Man No Way Home, it was the exact opposite. Peter was more of a proactive character. He was the one who was mainly pushing the plot forward due to his choices for better or for worse. It was his fault that the villains ended up in his world. It was his choice to help cure the villains and bring them into Happy's home that led to Aunt May being killed. And when it was all said and done, the consequences of his actions were that he lost literally everything. He lost his whole family, he lost his best friend, he lost his girlfriend, he lost his friends in general. No one knows who he is, and he only has himself to blame. Even after he lost everything, we see him at the very end still continuing to be Spider-Man. And in fact, by the end of the film, he's more Spider-Man than he ever has been prior in the MCU. He no longer has any Stark tech to rely on. No one knows his secret identity anymore. He's living by himself now, and he's back to being a nobody. And in my eyes, that is what makes Spider-Man No Way Home a perfect Spider-Man movie. What do you guys think? Do you agree with me? Share your thoughts down below in the comments. Follow me on social media so we can continue this conversation. And leave a like to this video. If you're new to the channel, subscribe to get more videos like this. My next video is going to be a Spider-Man related video. It's going to be about Spider-Man 4 and what I want to see happen in that movie going forward. So stay tuned to get that video, and I will see you guys later in the next one.